the latest top tips, reviews and advice, please subscribe below.
Hello and welcome to Attwoolls Outdoors with me, Mike. Telling you guys a bit of a review video on a new product from Vango. So this here is the Vango Airbeam Turbo pump. So the turbo pump is a new electric pump designed to pump up tents, awnings, airbeds, inflatable kayaks, paddleboards, anything like that. So it's been specifically designed in a way that you can not only it sort of supersedes the Zephyr pump in a way. So it's a way you can inflate inflatable things, even sofas and things like that, quickly and efficiently without having to worry about it. But more importantly, it's actually got a deflate function, which you don't see an awful lot on the market as well. So it means you can happily get things up, which is the easy part, but also pack it away with a bit more ease as well. And that's definitely one of the bugbears, certainly with tents and awnings, is getting the air out quite happily and easily. You've got a digital display on here as well, so you can preset what pressure or bar you want to go to, so you can change the figures on here as well. You set it to that pressure, press go, and it will pump it up to that point quite happily. It's got almost basically a two-stage scenario. So you've got a single stage which will get volume in, so you can get about 350 litres for a minute, which is quite a lot, which means that for things like airbeds, sofas and that sort of stuff, it works really well because it's all about getting air in quickly. And then it's got a second stage which is basically high pressure, so designed for tents which need to get up to 7 or 8 or 10 psi as you need to. So again, you can quite happily set that and it will sort of cut out when you get to that pressure, be it low or be it high. Like I said, the nice bit is fact about is that you've got sort of 2 points here, so you can kind of inflate and deflate as you wanted to. So for example, what I'm going to do now is sort of deflate this beam and re-inflate it. So deflating, what I would do is get the pressured air out of it initially. So open that valve up, let it do a lot of the work for you. All that pressure air comes out. It's really the last part, so all the air that sort of sits in there for no good reason. So what we'll do is basically just open that, insert the pump, so pushes in, twists and locks on. So you get 2 adapters with it, one which is designed for the airspeed and then one which is normal for a normal Boston valve. Now I've actually attached it, I'll get set up with the deflation. You get 5 meters of cable and then a cigarette lighter on the end. Now, you can use that in a car, alternatively something like a power bank, so it means you can have pretty much a pump anywhere. So if you want to take, for example, that and that away, you can go down to the river canal or into the beach, do your paddleboard or your kayak, and not have to worry about, pumping up or taking a hand pump, and that's probably a little bit more compact than a nice big pump. So I'm just going to insert that quite happily. My light comes on. It doesn't make a difference because what I'll do is deflate it first. So I've put it on the deflate nozzle rather than the inflate nozzle. Press go, and you've got a kind of low pressure system to kind of drawing the air out. The design of the point, you've got nice easy handles, you can kind of carry it around as you need to, or hold it if you really, really want to. It's designed that it can be flat on a surface. It's got a little vibration pad as well, like a little sort of point to stop it moving about too much. And you've got this elongated hose. Doesn't matter whether your inflation point is down here, up here, or here, you can quite happily do and adapt it really. And again, you've got this really kind of robust kind of screw thread design on it, so it makes it a bit more robust and a bit, as you get sort of a lot more wear and tear, it doesn't sort of have any issues with that in many ways. With the deflate function, it will always kind of carry on sort of just drawing the air out, so you kind of sort of feel it and go, yeah, still a bit of air in that, but you probably keep it going for a minute or 2 to use it. It means again with airbeds, if the valve allows you to, you can quite happily take the air out. It's always worth double checking what valves you've got. If it's a typical Boston valve, normally you can't really use deflate function, but from a tent point of view with kind of Vango's airspeed points, it works really well. If you've got a Vango airspeed product, you can only really buy Vango's airspeed valve because, there we go. Because the valves are specifically designed for it, so you can't really get around it. So you are pot committed really a little bit with it, which is kind of Vango being a bit cunning and making sure you buy their product to go with their tents. Now, from an inflate point of view, it's the same process of just turning it on and off. Difference being is that all I'm going to do is put it on kind of the inflate point. It's almost like a U point, so either it's inflating, the air's going in, or if it's deflating, the air's going that way. So it depends on which way you put it in. So all we do then is just kind of screw that directly on. Now we're going to set the pressure, so we want it to be around about 7 psi. It's about 7.5, which is perfectly fine. And then what I'm going to do is initially then just go press the button for it to go on. You can see it's basically inflating it now. I can see the dial rolling up. So once it gets to around about sort of 1 psi, what I should normally do is sort of kick into kind of that second stage mode. Admittedly, this is a very first sample, and it's just, I might have to properly press the button, but it should do it quite happily. So what we're doing first is getting the volume into the beam initially. So once it's got the volume into the beam, it sort of takes a bit of the air, and then what we can then do after that is then it will essentially kicks into the second stage and get that sort of pressure high up. So again, for low pressure is fine for sort of airbeds and things like that. We're looking. Yep, still going. You can see actually, to be fair, now the air starting to get into it a bit better. I always still say it's kind of still probably quicker with a manual pump, but I can't sit here and talk to you if that is the case. And you can see actually, to be fair, the volume is quite happily there. And what we then do is, once it gets to around about 0.8 psi, I believe it is, and you've got that different tone. So straight away you can tell the difference in the noise, and straight away it's then getting a high volume up, and that's when you do see the dial then suddenly go boom, 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 boom. So straight away now we're at 2 psi. Once it gets to around about sort of 3 psi, you can just literally let it pop up, do its own thing. It'll pretty much freestand if you really wanted to, but I'll tell you, I'll let it do its thing. It works really well, the turbo pump, for kind of the single point inflation that you see with kind of Vango. So for example, I've done a separate video putting the whole tent up from a single point, where I literally just press the button, let it do it, walk off, sort the kids out and do all that. So that's the same kind of premise you can also do with an airbed. Let that do the work for you, and then when it's done, it'll get and cut off to the right pressure, so you haven't got to suddenly monitor and make sure everything's all hunky-dory with it. And again, it means you can utilise your time more efficiently, and rather than setting up in, say, an hour, you're suddenly setting up in half an hour, because the labour-intensive work that you would normally have to do, you haven't got to do with it. So that's where it works quite nicely. So we're looking around 6 psi now. Arguably, I would say that, to be fair, there are kind of maybe quicker pumps on the market, but for me, if you've got a Vango product, then you kind of, like I said, you have to be going for a Vango tent. So if you've got the pump to do it already, there you go, then why wouldn't you just buy that for your Vango product and then use it on any other branded stuff as well? So like I said, airbeds or anything like that, sofas, you can quite happily do so. But yeah, that's kind of our little video review on the new Airbeam Turbo pump. If you want more information on sort of pricing, as well as sort of like pack sizes and that sort of stuff, all the information I've sort of mentioned in here, you can check the link below. It'll take you straight through to our website. We've got all the information ready at a touch of a button, as well as other videos relating to me pumping this whole thing up in one big lump as well. So that video is also located there. But let us know what you think about it as well. It's always great to hear feedback from people like yourself. But yeah, that's kind of our little video review on the new Airbeam Turbo pump from Vango.